Welcome to this time and place where all souls gather, beyond time, beyond sight, sharing one dimension of reality in this thin time of year when the veil between the living and the dead is said to be the thinnest, and we gather as one in memory and love in the dance of time and eternity. Welcome to this day so near to All Hallows Eve, mortals and ancestors alike, to the communion of saints, the choir invisible whose music is the gladness of the world. Death is nothing at all. It does not count. I have only slipped away into the next room. Nothing has happened. Everything remains exactly as it was. I am I, and you are you. And the old life that we lived so fondly together is untouched, unchanged. Whatever we were to each other, that we are still. Call me by the old familiar name. Speak of me in the easy way which you always used. Put no difference in your tone. Wear no forced air of solemnity or sorrow. Laugh, as we always laughed at the little jokes that we enjoyed together. Play, smile, think of me, pray for me. Let my name be ever the household word that it always was. Let it be spoken without an effort, without the ghost of a shadow upon it. Life means all it has ever meant. It is the same as it ever was. There is absolute and unbroken continuity. What is this death but a negligible accident? Why should I be out of mind because I am out of sight? I am but waiting for you, for an interval, somewhere very near, just around the corner. All is well. Nothing is hurt, nothing is lost. One brief moment and all will be as it was before. How we shall laugh at the trouble of parting when we meet again. That reading by Henry Scott Holland has been passed down as a poem, but it's actually an excerpt from a sermon that he gave somewhere in the late 1800s during his ministry at St. Paul's in London. He was a priest. I like to engage with it kind of on the mystical level, what does it mean to be in the next room, and what does it mean to think that we'll laugh together? There's a lot to kind of unpack theologically in there, but really what I love the most about this piece is that it normalizes death from the perspective of the one who has died, which is going to be all of us eventually. And it states a simple fact: relationships don't end with death. Love does not end, and so the connection continues. I'm in the next room. They're at coffee hour. Not just those we love and know who passed beyond the veil, but people also that we never did get a chance to meet, but whose wisdom and work we know, whose art we love, and have woven into our own lives. So it's a really wonderful time of year to think about some of your claimed ancestors. What have they been saying to you lately? How do you talk with them? How do they continue to inspire their lives, your lives? And wouldn't it be amazing if they knew? I recently rewatched the wonderful Disney film Coco. How many of you have seen Coco? Oh, I'm so glad so many of you. It's really not just a kid's movie at all. In fact, it's kind of intense for children. It's my favorite Halloween and Dia de los Muertos movie. And the Day of the Dead is November 1st, 2nd. It's the Mexican observation of the All Souls. Coco centers on a Mexican family of shoemakers who don't allow music in their home, because one of their fairly recent ancestors was a musician, a guitarist, who is believed to have run off to seek his fame and fortune And as he did so, it's believed by the family that he abandoned his wife and his little tiny daughter. His daughter, who was a toddler when her father left, is now the family's great-grandmother, the abuelita. She is honored, and she is tenderly cared for and passes her time. We see her in a rocking chair with a little Afghan on her lap, soaking up warm sunshine. She's able to smile and say a few words, but it's clear that her memories have mostly gone from her. Well, Miguel is her great-grandson, a little boy. He's maybe 10 or 11. I think he's 10. Miguel has the gift of music, and he has a great passion to play music. But every time he sneaks off to play his guitar, his family has a collective fit. Not allowed here, Miguel, you can't do this. Miguel's quest to be allowed to use his gift takes him on an adventure to the world of the spirits as a dimension opens on Dia de los Muertos, and he finds himself among people that he has only known through family stories and from their images on the ofrenda, the family altar, just as we have created kind of a family altar here. And there's an image on the front of your order of service of a Mexican ofrenda. The land of the dead is beautiful. It's vibrant, it's busy, it's social, and the design of the characters is wonderful. They're all skeletons, and they're clad in the outfits that they wore in life, and so colorful. Their lives are very busy and very, as I said, social, especially so on the Day of the Dead, when the portal between the two worlds opens, and the dead can go back to Earth to visit their families. The ticket for entry back to the land of the living is presented as kind of a passport center. If you can show a photo ID that matches with the image that someone in your family has placed on the ofrenda, you are given passage. It's really cute. The skeletons come up and they show, this sort of their headshot, and it matches with somebody's image that's on the home altar, and it goes ding, and they're like, bye, they get to pass through. And they have to return to the spirit world at midnight. It's as easy as that. And we see translucent mamas and papas, spouses, tios, abuelitos, visiting the cemeteries on earth and feasting with those who claim them as ancestors. The living can't see them, but they trust and know that they are there. So what gallery of ancestors would be checking themselves through the checkpoint to visit you on Dia de los Muertos? What lovely and difficult people are hanging in frames on your wall or set on your mantelpieces? What's your relationship with them? Some are probably very simple, nothing but pure affection, great memories, and many others are much more complicated. The relationships keep shifting and changing as we ourselves grow into our own experience of struggling with being human, which really changes over time. And we may develop more empathy with our dead, or maybe not. We may lose some. Whatever the case, our relationships with our beloved dead or our troubling dead are richer when we engage with who they fully were, with all their faults and weak spots, than if we sanitize their memories and transform them into saints. I believe we honor them best by practicing honesty. There is nothing to lose and no hurt that can be caused by this. They are beyond that hurt, even if we are not. For instance, I've been in active conversation with my father since October 7th. I want him to know that I have come to a very different that I've come to a profound disagreement with him about Israeli politics. I consider this argument a form of love, to conjure up the memory of my Jewish papa, to share with him where I am now in my life, 7 years older than he ever lived to be. These conversations are not arguments, again, because I believe that the dead are beyond argument. I believe that they are unified and integrated with a spirit of eternal love and peace beyond our comprehension and apprehension. My talks with both of my parents and now my stepfather, Don, who is here on the altar this morning, are a form of communion, an intentional act of honoring both their specific memories and our relationships, and also honoring the long line of ancestors of which they and I are a continuation. Today we've assembled an altar of memory to some of our church ancestors, recently departed. It would be acceptable usage for me to say that we have lost them, but we haven't really lost them. We claim them, as we did in life, as friends, some as role models, as spiritual kinfolk whose commitment to Unitarian Universalist congregational life and community we share. They are just in the next room, as it were, the church triumphant. And that's an old Protestant saying. And when I served in the Norwell congregation in an old historic church, we would talk about the church militant, which is the church that is, still fighting the good fight for peace and justice and all that. The church militant in the pews like you are here today. And then you could see when you open the big doors to the street, right across the street, the cemetery, the church triumphant, ascended to peace, union with the divine. We carry on their legacy, and in some cases we challenge the legacy, and we revise it. So it goes, as future community members will both honor and engage in critical evaluation of how we have stewarded this faith tradition and this institution. It's a little bit humbling, right? Big responsibility. In Coco, and that song, do you remember that song? Remember me, da 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 da. It's such a beautiful movie. Go home and see it. There's a moment where a character in the land of the dead is seen resting on a hammock, an old skeleton with a straw hat, and he's coughing weakly. And then he begins to dissolve, and he becomes sort of glistening tendrils of stardust and completely evaporates. He's done so because no one remains alive to put his image on their ofrenda or to tell and remember his specific stories. Most people that I have talked about this film with and seen it with consider this to be a very sad moment. But I have never seen it as such, and here's why. I think that Hector has not disappeared. I believe he has ascended to yet another realm of even more total peace and unity with the divine, with the all, the great all, with the cosmic consciousness, with the great energy, whatever you want to call it. He is not gone because he is forgotten by those who are still living. He has completed his soul's journey, I think, and is being gathered into the heart of love that we know as God. I think of this as the profoundest blessing imaginable, that reunification with grace beyond all fear and concern, a fulfillment promised to all who have ever struggled with what Henry James called this half-wild, half-saved universe. Requiescat in pace. These members of this church went to life eternal this year. Linda Lee Knight, Eleanor Carlson, Ray King, Sarah Drury, Will Boynton, may we join our hearts now in reverent gratitude for those whose lives have blessed ours and who have gone from the struggle of human existence to the everlasting peace beyond. We name them in our hearts or aloud at this time to join in spiritual communion with them in this season of mystery and remembrance. Don Mole. We remember them. They are part of us. They live on in our continued relationship with them as we glean wisdom from this connection. Some hard lessons, some beautiful ones, some complicated memories, some simply delightful. May their names be spoken among us comfortably as if they are just in the next room, and may love make the veil between the living and the dead gossamer and gentle. God bless them all and all of us, and may the fact of our mortality lead us to treasure life and those with whom we share it ever more deeply. Amen.
Before the sublime mystery of life and spirit, the mystery of infinite space and endless time, we stand in reverent awe. This much we know: we are at least one phase of the immortality of life. The mighty stream of life flows on, and in this mighty stream, we too flow on, not lost, but each eternally significant. For this I feel: the Spirit never betrays the person who trusts it. Physical life may be defeated, but life goes on. Character survives, goodness lives, and love is immortal. And let the people say, Amen.
Go in peace.